How do you not break when everything around you is literally falling apart? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something incredibly raw and honestly, profoundly human. We're going to listen to and analyze a real-time audio diary of a woman right in the thick of it, facing an extreme, world-shattering betrayal. We're asking the ultimate question of psychological survival here. When the ground is completely pulled out from under you, what do you do in those crucial first minutes and hours to keep from just shattering into a million pieces? Well, let's find out. Just listen to this raw admission from her audio. I know that such stressful situations, they destroy everything in a second. This isn't just hyperbole, folks. As we analyze her desperate stream of consciousness throughout this explainer, you'll quickly realize something terrifying. The true danger for her isn't just a broken heart. It's the absolute total collapse of her physical health. She is literally terrified that the sheer force of this emotional shock is going to physically destroy her. And that brings us to the core objective of today's explainer, the anatomy of resilience. We're transforming this raw, unfiltered recording into a universal masterclass on trauma management. Because, honestly, what this woman does instinctively in the face of absolute despair, it's brilliant. It's a step-by-step guide on how to guard your mind and your body when you're under extreme duress. Section 1, Shock and Life Stakes. Now, to really understand her response, we first have to understand her baseline reality. Her fear stems from a very real, very physical vulnerability. Let's look at what's actually at stake. Her reality over the last 3 years paints a pretty stark picture. Back in 2023, she got a critical medical diagnosis, and for the last 3 years, she's been in this brutal, exhausting fight to pull herself back to health, literally gathering herself piece by piece. She talks about how incredibly hard she worked just to survive, and now, today, she's hit with an emotional crisis that threatens a total physical relapse. This perfectly illustrates why she's absolutely terrified of letting this new stress into her body. For her, managing this trauma is, no joke, a matter of life and death. And you know what? The physical toll is already happening. Midway through her diary, she actually gets interrupted by a quick phone call, and she tells the caller, "I slept till 4 a.m. and woke up 5 times." This brilliant little snippet grounds all this abstract psychology into harsh biological reality. Her body is in shock. Her nervous system is just vibrating. She's exhausted, her energy is draining fast, and she knows she's right on the edge of a major physical crash. Moving on to Section 2, Instinct of Self-Preservation. Let's see how this massive physical threat actually triggers her tactical response. Faced with this danger, she makes a very conscious, relentless refusal to be destroyed. Her crucial realization is this: she has to manually activate her instinct of self-preservation every single second. Think about it. Normally, we think of self-preservation as totally automatic, right? Like yanking your hand off a hot stove. But she treats it like a deliberate mental switch. She knows her brain's default right now is to panic and obsess, which is going to physically hurt her. So she has to manually, intentionally flip that switch of self-preservation second by second. She actually boils her chaotic thoughts down into a strict 3-step crisis strategy that, honestly, we could all learn a thing or two from. Step 1, turn on that instinct we just talked about. Step 2, clear the thoughts. She actively trains herself to stop chewing on the trauma, forcing her brain to focus on basic routine tasks, cleaning, eating, working. And step 3, focus on her daughter. And we've got to explore that last step because it's a profoundly powerful psychological tool. Section 3, Anchor of Salvation, Family. This brings us to the whole concept of compartmentalization. When your current reality is just too toxic to live in, you have to build a safe room in your mind. And for her, that safe room, her ultimate anchor, is her family. For instance, her daughter is finally coming to visit, an event she's been waiting a whole year for. In the audio, she calls it unimaginable happiness. And she actively uses this impending joy as a psychological shield. By forcing herself to concentrate entirely on preparing for this visit and just savoring the time they're going to have together, she effectively hits pause on the crisis. She's literally building a wall between the trauma and her day-to-day life, weaponizing her own happiness against the despair. And this quote perfectly captures her vibe right now. "I'll think about it tomorrow," as Scarlett O'Hara used to say. It is fascinating to hear her intuitively use this classic literary coping mechanism. She's artificially postponing her breakdown. She isn't denying the horror happened, she's simply refusing to process it until her daughter goes home. She's literally scheduling her grief for a time when she's in a safe enough space to actually handle it. Talk about a power move. Section 4, The Observer's Position. Delaying the grief isn't her final trick, though. Let's look at the climax of her mental reframing, where she does something truly remarkable. She strips all the power away from the perpetrator by completely shifting her mindset. She hits this pivotal moment of self-reflection and asks herself, will my pain change anything? I want you to really think about that for a second. She's reasoning with herself. If she drinks a bottle of valerian root, if she shakes, cries, and stays awake all night agonizing over this betrayal, does it actually change the facts of what happened? The answer, logically and brutally, is no. The past is already the past. So she essentially sees two paths laid out before her. Path A, destroying herself. We're talking sleeplessness, obsessing, literal physical pain. Path B, recognizing the other person's responsibility. She has this massive realization that the betrayal, the awful actions are entirely his responsibility. They're a reflection of him. It's his burden to carry, and most importantly, they do not diminish her worth. Why on earth should she destroy her own health to pay the physical toll for his terrible choices? Which leads her to this absolutely incredible state of mind. I just look at this as an observer, at this horror, but as an observer. This is so powerful. She develops the ability to just step outside of herself. She views the catastrophe of her own life from a detached, distant perspective, almost like she's watching a movie. By becoming the observer, she stops the poison of the situation from infecting her soul and her body. What she's ultimately achieved here is known in psychology as radical acceptance. It's the complete acknowledgement of reality without trying to fight it. But she goes one step further, which blew my mind. In the audio, she repeatedly expresses gratitude. She's actually thankful that the universe, or God, revealed the truth to her right now, even though it hurts like hell. She accepts the grand design of the situation. She isn't just surviving the shock, she's completely neutralizing it with profound acceptance. So, the biggest takeaway from this remarkable audio diary is that resilience isn't always about fighting back. Sometimes it's about radically stepping back to protect your core self. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. When your world falls apart, when the shock hits and absolutely everything is on the line, will you be able to flip that switch? Will you be able to become just an observer? Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you found these tools as fascinating and honestly as empowering as I did.